In November of 2025, a white helicopter descended over the hills of central Italy toward a secluded medieval monastery. Inside was Pope Leo XIV. Earlier that day, the Pope had prayed at the tomb of Francis of Assisi. But instead of returning to Rome, he made an unexpected detour to a remote town few outside Italy have ever heard of, Montefalco. Behind the monastery walls, Pope Leo approached a glass casket containing the incorrupt body of a woman dead for more than 700 years. But the body itself is not what made her famous. The controversy surrounding this woman centers around a mysterious claim she made about what was inside her heart. Then, after her death, church officials reportedly opened her body and made a disturbing discovery. For centuries, pilgrims, mystics, skeptics, physicians, and historians have argued over what was really found inside the body. Some call it a miracle. Others believe it was symbolism or hysteria or medieval imagination. Yet nearly 1,000 years later, an Augustinian pope traveled by helicopter across Italy to pray before her remains. Why? To understand why Pope Leo XIV made this extraordinary visit, we need first to understand the mysterious woman at the center of the story. Her name was Clare of Montefalco. Clare of Montefalco was born in 1268 in the hill town of Montefalco in central Italy. The country was fractured by war, political violence, famine, and religious upheaval. Yet, amid the chaos, a powerful spiritual movement was spreading across Italy. Men like Francis of Assisi were abandoning wealth to embrace radical poverty and prayer, while ordinary people became fascinated by visions, relics, and mystical experiences. Clare grew up in that world. According to early accounts, she displayed unusual religious devotion even as a child. Her older sister, Joan, founded a small religious community outside Montefalco, and Clare joined while still very young. The convent was austere. The women lived in silence, practiced severe fasting, and devoted themselves to prayer and manual labor. Medieval spirituality often emphasized suffering as a way of sharing in Christ's passion, and Clare embraced that spirituality intensely. By her 20s, she had become abbess of the community. Witnesses later described her as disciplined, intelligent, and strong-willed. She governed firmly and demanded strict obedience from the nuns under her care. But what truly set Clare apart were the mystical experiences that reportedly began to dominate her life. She claimed to receive visions of Christ, especially while meditating on the crucifixion. According to later testimony, she sometimes entered ecstatic states during prayer. At times, the experiences frightened the other nuns. Some claimed she collapsed unconscious. Others said she appeared physically overwhelmed while contemplating Christ's suffering. Medieval Christians often interpreted such experiences as sign of divine favor, though skeptics even then questioned whether some mystics suffered from illness or religious hysteria. Meanwhile, Clare's reputation spread beyond the convent walls. Priests, nobles, and townspeople reportedly sought her advice. Stories circulated that she could perceive hidden sins, foresee future events, and experience visions of souls in purgatory. Then, Clare began making a strange and unsettling statement. Repeatedly, she claimed that the cross of Christ was inside her heart. At first, the words may have sounded symbolic, the kind of poetic language common among medieval mystics. But Clare repeated the claim so often that the nuns around her never forgot it. And after her death, those words would take on a terrifying new meaning. On August 17, 1308, Clare of Montefalco died inside the monastery she had governed for decades. She was 40 years old. The nuns believed they had witnessed the death of a saint. Word spread quickly through Montefalco as townspeople gathered outside the monastery walls. But inside the convent, the sisters remembered Clare's repeated claim that the cross of Christ was inside her heart. Some had interpreted the statement symbolically. Others believed she meant it literally. Now that she was dead, curiosity and devotion combined into something more dangerous. According to testimony later collected during canonization investigations, the nuns decided to examine her body. What happened next would become one of the strangest miracle claims in Catholic history. As the sisters prepared Clare's body for burial, they reportedly opened her chest and removed her heart. Inside, witnesses claimed they discovered tiny formations resembling the instruments of Christ's passion: a cross, 3 nails, a scourge, a spear, and even a crown-like formation resembling the crown of thorns. To the nuns, the meaning seemed undeniable. Clare had spent her life meditating on Christ's suffering. Now, they believed, God had physically marked her heart with the symbols of the crucifixion itself. The discovery shocked the monastery. Soon, clergy and church officials were called to examine what had been found. Stories about the mysterious heart spread rapidly beyond Montefalco into surrounding regions of Italy. But not everyone accepted the claims. Even in the medieval world, skeptics questioned whether the shapes were being interpreted symbolically rather than literally. Others suspected that emotional devotion and expectation may have influenced what witnesses believed they were seeing. And there was another problem. Medieval anatomy was primitive. The Church was not conducting forensic investigations the way modern scientists would today. Everything depended on testimony. Yet, despite centuries of skepticism, the story never disappeared. The heart relic associated with Clare continued to be preserved by the monastery, and pilgrims traveled to Montefalco hoping to witness evidence of the impossible. The claim that years of contemplating Christ's suffering had somehow transformed the human heart itself. And as devotion to Clare spread, attention gradually shifted toward another mystery, her body. For centuries, pilgrims visiting Montefalco reported that Clare's remains appeared unusually well preserved. Inside the monastery church, visitors today encounter a striking sight. Behind glass rests the body of a medieval nun dead for more than 700 years. Dressed in religious garments and surrounded by candles and gold decoration, Clare appears almost suspended outside of time. To believers, she became another example of what Catholics call incorruptibility, the belief that some saints experience extraordinary resistance to bodily decay after death. But as with many incorrupt saints, the reality is more complicated. Over the centuries, Clare's remains underwent preservation work and restoration. Portions of the body were reinforced and treated to slow deterioration, while later restorations used wax coverings to preserve the appearance of the face and exposed areas. This led to confusion among modern visitors. Some assume the body remains untouched since the Middle Ages. Others dismiss the entire phenomenon as artificial preservation. The truth lies somewhere in between. Historical records suggest Clare's body did undergo natural deterioration over time, yet portions of the remains were reportedly found in an unusually preserved state compared to what many expected after centuries in burial. And this debate touches on the larger controversy surrounding incorrupt saints in general. Skeptics argue that many so-called incorrupt bodies were naturally mummified, environmentally preserved, or visually reconstructed over centuries of devotional display. Believers respond that the Catholic Church itself does not claim every incorrupt body is miraculous and often approaches such cases cautiously. But in Clare's case, the controversy surrounding the body has always remained secondary to the far stranger mystery of the heart. Because unlike the visible remains inside the glass casket, The alleged discovery inside Clare's chest was never easily explained by climate, burial conditions, or preservation techniques. The claim was far more disturbing, that symbols associated with Christ's crucifixion had somehow formed within the body itself. As centuries passed, the story of Clare of Montefalco became trapped between two worlds. To believers, she was a saint whose mystical union with Christ had physically marked her body. To skeptics, she represented a medieval legend, shaped by symbolism, emotional devotion, and primitive anatomy. By the modern era, the Church could no longer rely solely on medieval testimony. The rise of science and forensic investigation forced Catholic authorities to confront difficult questions surrounding relics and incorrupt saints. Clare's remains were no exception. Over the years, physicians, historians, and church investigators examined both the body and the relics associated with her heart. One problem immediately became obvious. The original medical investigations had not been conducted according to modern scientific standards. There were no photographs or pathology reports or reliable anatomical records from the year 1308. Everything depended on testimony. Modern historians have proposed several explanations. Some suggest the nuns interpreted ordinary anatomical structures symbolically after already believing Clare was a saint. Others believe small fibrous formations or calcifications inside the heart tissue could have been viewed through the lens of medieval religious imagination. Still others argue the story gradually expanded over generations as devotion to Clare increased. But defenders of the tradition point out something equally important. The witnesses were not describing vague shapes. According to the accounts, they described highly specific objects associated with the Passion of Christ: crosses, nails, scourges, and a spear. Then there's the question of Clare herself. Long before her death, she repeatedly declared that the cross of Christ was inside her heart. The nuns claimed they investigated her body precisely because Clare herself had spoken about it so often during her life. Clare's sainthood rests primarily on her life and long-standing veneration, yet the mystery surrounding her heart remains inseparable from her legacy, which helps explain why, nearly 1,000 years after her death, an Augustinian pope would travel across Italy to pray before her remains. When Pope Leo XIV stepped into the monastery at Montefalco in November of 2025, he wasn't entering as a tourist. He was entering as an Augustinian. Long before becoming Pope, Leo XIV had spent decades inside the spiritual tradition shaped by saints like Augustine, Monica, and Clare of Montefalco herself. As former prior general of the Augustinian order, he had long-standing ties to the monastery and the cloistered nuns who preserve Clare's memory. But the symbolism of the visit went beyond personal friendship. Clare of Montefalco represented something increasingly rare in the modern world: a form of Christianity centered on interior transformation. Her life revolved around one idea: that through prayer, suffering, and contemplation, the human soul could become united to Christ so completely that the Passion itself became imprinted onto the heart. Today, the monastery of Montefalco still stands high above the hills of Umbria. Behind its walls, the body of Saint Clare remains preserved inside a glass casket, while pilgrims continue arriving from around the world hoping to understand the mystery surrounding her heart. Nearly 700 years after her death, no explanation has ever fully ended the debate. Some see the story as evidence of divine intervention. Others view it as medieval symbolism and religious imagination. What do you think about Clare of Montefalco and her claims? Leave your thoughts in the comments section. And please remember to like this video. And if you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe.